Memphis Police Department now firing 5 officers following its investigation into that confrontation with Tyre Nichols. This just days before the Nichols family and their attorney are expected to see the body camera video of what happened. ABC's Elwin Lopez joins us from Atlanta with the details. Elwin, good morning.
Hey, Wick, good morning. It started with a traffic stop and ended in tragedy. That 29-year-old landing in the hospital, dying just a few days later. Now those officers involved have been fired, and a warning to our viewers that some of these images might be disturbing to watch. This morning, fallout at the Memphis Police Department. 5 officers fired, involved in a traffic stop that turned deadly. 29-year-old Tyre Nichols suffering critical injuries, dying 3 days later. The stop for alleged reckless driving. Police saying he ran off after a confrontation with officers. Then another confrontation occurred when they detained him. His family saying police beat him so severely he was unrecognizable. Ben Crump, the family's attorney, speaking with GMA overnight.
They took photographs of him in the hospital that showed him with huge contusions and abrasions on his face and head that they believe was part of the reason why Tyre is dead today. That brutal encounter with the police.
An internal police investigation concluding the officers violated department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid.
Them being fired means that they did something horribly wrong on that video.
The body camera and surveillance videos are expected to be shown to Nichols' family Monday morning.
The only thing we've heard are the rumors that it's horrific and it's akin to the Rodney King video.
In a statement, the Memphis Police Department saying it is, quote, committed to protecting and defending the rights of every citizen in our city. The egregious nature of this incident is not a reflection of the good work that our officers perform with integrity every day.
He was a good father, had a 4-year-old son who's going to grow up in this world. Ask him, why did the police kill my daddy?
The FBI and the Justice Department are also conducting a civil rights investigation. Now, the video of that incident is expected to be released to the public after the Nichols family takes a look at it next week. What?
All right, Elwin Lopez for it.
Okay, so y'all heard this right here. And when I first heard about this, I said to myself, I think Lisa did a video about this a couple days ago. Now, I don't know if, if in the video, I can't remember if she spoke on who was the ones that was involved with his murder, because this just came out on the 20th and I'm recording this on the 21st about these 5 terrorists. As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn if they're black. Terrorists who murdered this man. As far as I'm concerned, this was murder. But if you saw the image, and I'm not going to put it up here because it's too graphic. Some of you by now have seen the picture of when he was laid up in the hospital. His face was messed up and he really did look unrecognizable. If you look at a regular picture of him that he took versus how he looked in the hospital, his face, it was bruised. It was blood coming from his mouth and his eyes were shut because they pretty much hit him so hard that his eyes were swollen shut. His face was puffy. Like he looked rough. He looked really messed up and now he's gone. And these 5 knuckleheads that you see on the screen are the ones responsible. I know, shocking, is it? All of them happen to be black cops. And it did, it's crazy they had that mushmouth Ben Crump on there. And while he, you kind of tune out with the stuff that he be saying, he was right. It does sound like or look like something that came out of Rodney King. Went back in the 90s when Rodney King was beaten badly on camera. But fortunately for him, he survived. Unfortunately for Tyre Nichols, he did not. Now I'm going to pull up a picture of Tyre Nichols just in case y'all don't know what he looks. This is a picture of him right here. It looks like he's at the beach. Now look at him right here and just think of how I described him, how he was laid in the hospital bed. It sounds like 2 different people. That's because it looks like 2 different people. That's how badly they beat him. All over alleged reckless driving. They did something that PC has been known to do to black people in this same kind of situation for decades. And they did that to this black man. Now, I'm willing to bet that if this is a PC man that they was going after, they probably wouldn't have even done even an ounce of all of what they did to this man. It was not worth it of them having to beat this man to death. Five of them. And when you think about it, it was 5 of them. So technically he was jumped. If you want to take it and make it a street thing, this guy was drunk. It was no way he was going to be able to defend himself against that. Because you imagine they were most likely using their hands, their feet, and their batons to beat this man. I'm willing to bet that's probably a combination of the both of the 3 things they were using, but they haven't released the body cam footage as of yet. So until they actually see it, they said they're waiting for the family to see it, and then they might release it to the public, and that's going to be even more gruesome. But I'm assuming that that's how they did it. And now it says right here that they were all fired. Granted, we know, okay, they fired. We know they ain't getting transferred, because that's only reserved for you know who. But being fired is not enough. Granted, okay, they're fired, but they need to be brought up on charges. But they're probably going to wait until after the body cam footage is produced, and then that's when they're probably going to go forward with charges, and most likely some arrests, and it'll most likely be a trial, and hopefully some jail time, because all 5 of them need to be locked up. That is insane. That is crazy right there. But I had to bring this story to y'all because these are the type of stories that, granted, while I always talk about stories where it's injustice or black people getting beat by these cops, and it's typically the usual suspects, it's rare, but it does happen. It is rare that there are cops out there who look just like you and I, who will do to us sometimes worse than what they would do to other people. Now, it's crazy because when you think about it, the last black cops that I talked about that did something to a PC person and they got consequences was what? Muhammad Noor. Even though he's Somali American, they still put him under the umbrella of nigga. Then you had the 2 black cops down in, what was it, New Orleans or Louisiana, that shot into that car trying to stop that man on the high-speed chase, and they mistakenly and accidentally shot and killed this kid who wasn't supposed to be there, and they ended up getting jail time. Same thing that happened in those 2 incidents should happen with this one, but this time it should be even more, because that was some extremely off-code mess that they pulled over alleged reckless driving. And so the thing is, they may not have too many people stick out their neck for them when it comes to something like this. Honestly, I've never actually come across a story or even reported on one where something like this has happened, where they act in the same vein as these PC cops does when it comes to us, and actually seeing what the results were. So I'm going to keep my eye on this one because I'm very curious. And to my subscribers who live down in Memphis, and I know I have a few people that live down in the state of Tennessee, y'all can help me stay up to date with this, because I really, really want to know what the consequences are going to be for those 5 cops. But all in all, R.I.P. to Tyre, I'm about to call him Tyrone, Tyre Nichols. Condolences to his family. Hopefully they get justice. I would say this might be easier because the cops happen to be black, but then again, you never know when it comes to that quote unquote blue wall. They might pull a rabbit out of their hat and find a way to let them walk and possibly get their job back. You just never know. So this is something that I'm just now inserting into the video because, again, so many updates have been coming forth from this story. And I'm recording this part on January 27, 2023, which is a day before I actually upload this video. And the latest, of course, by now y'all have already heard, is that all 5 of the cops that were involved with the murder, as far as I'm concerned, with Tyre Nichols, have been charged on murder and kidnapping charges. Now, what makes this even more interesting is that they have been charged with murder and kidnapping, and I think like 3 types of kidnapping, before they released the body cam footage. Usually it's the other way around. They would release the body cam footage and then charge you. So this video must be so bad that they had to charge them ahead of releasing it. And word on the street is this video is about as bad or maybe even worse than Rodney King back in the early 90s. And that was bad enough to watch anyway, but we already know what the outcome was with that. But I have a feeling they're not going to have the same leeway or same, I could say, privilege as the cops who beat Rodney King. Well, one thing that saved those cops is the fact that they didn't kill Rodney King. But then we already know what the other part is too as well. But this guy, he's dead. They practically beat him to death. Man, they going to be on them like white on rice. This is going to be a very interesting trial because I have a very for sure feeling that this is definitely going to go to trial and people are going to be watching this like a hawk.